know that happens sometimes. You know somebody, and
You know parts of them.
parts of them, but you don't know the whole thing. Yeah.
All right. I know. The woman who gave me this necklace told me this other part of her story. She goes, "You didn't know that?" I'm there like, "How on earth would I know that?" You know what I mean? We work together. It's not like,
Yeah. Well,
Could
it
we
is
ask
what it is.
someone if we're ready to start to give me a thumbs up?
Well, now I can relax.
what's interesting.
What
Like,
you think we're in
stroll in, or is this
I'm at 302.
302.
okay. crowded?
Please come by.
I will. I will for sure.
Is this a free workshop? Or
Ready?
Free,
Okay.
a free panel?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening.
Say it again.
It's small. It's a little small.
Welcome, gods and goddesses, ascended masters, divine sparks. Thank you for, yes.
Late.
Thank you all for being here today for the Pathways to Ascension Tools and Techniques panel. I'm Tanjila, the founder of Soul Search and Soul Search TV, where we're committed to connecting seekers to amazing practitioners and healers like all of the ones you see here in front of you today. And I'm honored to be moderating this fascinating discussion we'll be having at the Conscious Life Expo. Throughout history, spiritual seekers have used different techniques to explore inner truths, uncover hidden patterns, connect with the spiritual world, and support their ascension journey. These tools act as powerful instruments, helping us navigate our lives with greater clarity and confidence. But as we all know, no single path to spiritual ascension exists. Different individuals are drawn to different modalities. And today, we are fortunate to have a diverse panel of incredible experts who will share their unique perspectives on the tools and techniques they teach and utilize every day. Our goal here is to give you practical insights into how these methods, tools, and techniques can be applied in your own journey of self-discovery and ascension. So let's begin by introducing our esteemed panelists. Each one of them brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in different ascension methodologies. So we have with us here beside me Mystic Yuri Lee from Sedona. She is a galactic wisdom teacher, energy healer, known for her shamanic ceremonies aligned with moon phases. Yuri is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, past life regressor, breathwork facilitator, and spiritual counselor. Yuri is also the creator of the Amanita Angel product line, offering Amanita muscaria mushrooms. So thanks, welcome, Yuri.
Thank you.
And we have with us Maureen St. Germain, known as the Practical Mystic. Maureen St. Germain is an ascension guide, Akashic Records expert, and profound spiritual teacher. She has over 30 years of experience in mystical traditions. Maureen is an internationally acclaimed ascension teacher and founder of the St. Germain Mystery School, and she is the author of 7 books, including Amazon bestsellers like Waking Up in 5D, Beyond the Flower of Life, and many, many more. So welcome, Maureen. And we have here with us Renee Barbeau. She is a Hay House author and shamanic wind whistler and healer. Renee is the creator of A Pilgrim's Guide to Walking Wisdom, which has just come out this week, an Amazon hot new release in 5 categories. Renee is also the creator of the New Wind Walker's Wisdom Oracle. Welcome, Renee. And we have with us Lori Spagna, Ascension Guide, Animal Communicator, DNA Activator, best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, and intuitive multidimensional channel and visionary, who has transformed the lives of thousands of humans and animals. Lori channels a group of non-physical beings called the Collective, which includes a collective group of ascended masters, goddesses, angels, teachers, loved ones, the animal kingdom, star families, interstellar beings, and others in the non-physical realms. Welcome, Lori. And here on my left side, we have Marie Diamond, Feng Shui master and law of attraction expert. Marie is a globally celebrated Feng Shui teacher, speaker, and best-selling author who has worked with more than 2 million students over 30 years. Marie stars in the major network TV series Feng Shui Your Life and also the global phenomenon The Secret. Welcome. And we have with us Wendy Kennedy, channel for the Ninth Dimensional Palladian Collective and spiritual teacher, author, and speaker. For the past 30 years, Wendy has used her gifts to channel higher dimensional wisdom and the spoken and written forms of the language of light to assist others in increasing their resonance and transforming their lives. Welcome, Wendy. And we have Janita Mason, a 2-time award winner in biological and energy medicine and the founder of the Bio Sanctuary. She is the recipient of the 2014 High Achievement Award from the American Naturopathic Medical Association and author of The Green Mental Health Care, How to Get Off and Stay Off of Psychiatric Drugs. She is also the recipient of the 2010 Human Rights Award for the Green Mental Health Care Medical Model, a non-toxic, non-invasive, and non-addictive solution to today's epidemic of mental health conditions. Welcome. So as you all see here, we have an incredibly diverse panel of esteemed teachers, visionaries, and guides who are here to really talk to us about the myriad of ways we can receive support on our awakening journey. And to get the panel started, I'm going to start with this question, and we can take turns for each of you to answer. So spiritual seekers today have access to a vast range of tools and techniques for ascension. What drew each of you to your particular modality and body of work, and how has that transformed your life? So, Maureen, would you like to go first?
Me?
Yes?
As it was said earlier, I've been in this work over 30 years. And what I can tell you is I went from being aware of these things that exist, the ability to tap into more knowledge from a child, but I didn't know what to do or how to use it. And so the tools that have come through me have helped me and thousands of others to level up and tune in to their inner wisdom and their inner guidance. So many of the tools that I teach are simple, like I am waking up in 5D to say that every night. Another tool is I'm asking for a day of heaven on earth for me and everyone I come in contact with. And a day of heaven on earth is the same as 5D because 5D is a lot like heaven on earth. And the most powerful tool that I share with people is the higher self connection. I developed a very logical left brain way to access your higher self and get 100% accuracy.
Thank you. Renee?
Well, first of all, I'm really honored to be here with such an esteemed panel and all of you who are up here hearing us. So my work with the winds came about quite by accident. I thought I was writing a book for my coaching clients that was going to use wind as a metaphor. And one day I was walking up on the bluff on Eby's Landing, and this scraggly old pine tree started to talk to me and said, "Oh, you're going to write a book about the wind." And literally, I looked up at the sky and said, "You want me to write a book about what? People hate the wind." But I had made a deal with Spirit many, many years before that. I pride myself as being a consummate business leader, that when I was asked to put down my business and take care of a spiritual task, I would do that. And I started an exploration about these wind spirits. And what I found was that before religion divided us into Catholic and Muslim and all of these other factions, that before that, all of those words, Holy Spirit, Ruach, Nirvana, Om, are wind. And so that we could learn to go direct. And as the practical shaman, the idea of going to direct made a lot of sense to me. And so I took upon to practical a lot of research about all of these wind gods and goddesses throughout the ages, and created this body of work. And then again, I still was a little bit dumb. And one of my clients said, well, why don't we call in one of those wind spirits? So I blew my wind whistle. I was in California, she was in New York City, and all of a sudden in the living room, embodied this wind energy, and we both described it pretty similar, both in her symbology and mine, and we experienced the same energetic. And so I tried it again a couple of weeks later, and Hole came in with a slam bang of the door, and everyone on the phone and the call was there like, what just happened? And so then the work became real by doing that, and it's very based in nature, and it's very practical.
Nice.
Nice. Lori?
All right, well, what drew me to this work was not unlike a lot of people's stories. First of all, I spent 20 years after college in corporate America, miserable, crying every night, like not wanting to commit my suicide or anything, but just like, how am I going to get out of this? This is horrible. I knew from the first week, I was like, this is slavery. I spent 20 years developing addictions, smoking, drinking excessively, coffee excessively, getting just through the misery. Thyroid was off, hair was falling out, excessive eating, excessive sugar. My body was just getting in worse health. I would cry myself to sleep every night. I would beg like the authority figure in my life for 20 years, which was my dad at that time, help me, how do I get out of this? I developed a 6-figure credit card debt. I mean, I went to doctors for 20 years seeking solutions, and they were pumping me up with massive amounts of pharmaceutical drugs. So it was out of desperation. I was in so much pain. I was in so much misery that I knew I had to find a way out. And what happened was my brother died of a drug overdose, and I started getting messages from him right away. Hey, Law, it's your dead brother, Jeff. I'm here to tell you you're on the same path as me. But this is not a thing to be sad about. Like, he was my divine wake-up call, right? I got the message. Took me about a year to unpack that. I quit my 6-figure job with my 6-figure credit card debt. I became a dog trainer. The dogs were like, we're here to teach you. You need to listen to us. We're here to help the humans. So get on board with us if you want to help us. So they became my teachers. Dead people started coming all the time, especially like famous dead people. I got a message from what was it? I was saying this today. Heath Ledger, remember him? He was like, hey, tell them I'm okay. Like, I have a channeled message with Betty White where she's saying, it's all just awareness. It's all a big drama. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. You can go look it up. Okay, so flash forward. I moved to Maui. I get into all the healing practices. I think I'm crazy, right? I have a first contact experience. I'm on ship, getting activated and awakened in ways I had no idea. I was so angry, it took me another year to unpack that. What the heck? What is going on here? Like, I don't even know what to do with this, right? You'll know when the time comes. You'll know. Now I awaken everybody's DNA, help them reclaim their connection to source. Because here's the fact. We're all consciousness in bodies, meant to awaken from these experiences when we're ready, if we choose it. If we want to keep staying unconscious, we can do that. We can go through all the pain and suffering. We can keep playing that game, but it's not really very much fun anymore. So we're getting this incredible opportunity to reclaim our connection with source. By the way, I just want to wrap with this. Within 2 years of me quitting that job with the 6-figure credit card debt and all of those physical health issues and all those addictions and all those massive pharmaceutical drugs, all gone. All of it. within 2 years, permanently. And here's the final thing, and I'll leave it at this because I get on my totem. Listen, it's not available to any of us. There's no one that it's denied to. We are all source creator gods in bodies, and when we're ready to reclaim our right to be really divinely aligned with our true, real, authentic connection to that source that is from within, it's available to all of us. There's no one that can't have it. That's what I'm here for now.
Thank you, Lori. And Yuri?
Yeah, so for me, I actually grew up as a Christian, and I was Sunday school teacher when I was 18 years old. And now, actually, I get my message from my mushrooms, like you're getting it from dogs. They've been actually talking to me, especially when I'm in the shower, about what to do with my life and how to help heal certain situations. So when I woke up very similar to your story. I work in the fashion industry for forever, miserable, crying in a parking lot. I feel like I walked the same path as you. And the plant medicine actually took me to wake up. So from my second plant medicine journey, all the Bibles that I learned about, it started to make sense. So the hells and the heavens, and we are all being afraid of like going to hell, so we are behaving. And all the miracles that was happening, I could understand why it happened, because we have other helps, whether it was through the mushroom or flowers or plants or trees or beings. It started to all make connections. Now I'm able to decode the Bible and give the messages on it. And also now I communicate with mushroom spirit. So I'm a mushroom carrier and I work with them. And I also got the message that we actually can access this other dimension through having them massively in our bloodstream. The whether it's a 5D or New Earth or Ascensions, everyone wanting to be part of the new heaven, is possible if we can actually let go of the fear. That's the message that I received. And we are kind of in that battle of separation. And the reason why I work with this mushroom is their mission is to get the fear out of our body, our emotional body and spiritual body. Their mission is to actually cleanse that out and replace it with love. And that's the reason why these mushrooms, including all the psychedelics and all these powerful plants, were dismissed from our society by the controller, because the controller's job is to put us in fear, which is far away from the pathway to ascension. So I would love for you guys to get to learn more about it instead of being fearful of the psychedelic and psychoactive mushroom. They're actually our friends. They actually have the way.
Thank you, Yuri. And so now on this side, Janita, would you like to share?
I'm going to answer this question the way I've always answered any question, under a flashlight
Mike, please. Mike,
in my eyes.
closer to the mic.
While my Miranda rights read to me, and I want to talk to my lawyer.
Janita.
Can we please get that
Jan-
light out of my eyes?
Closer to the mic, please, Janita.
Pull your mic closer. Oh, can we please get that light out of my eyes? It is blinding.
Is it possible to adjust the light a little? There you go.
That's good.
They're filming, so.
So, and the question is, how did I come to...
Yes, what drew to you to your particular modality, and how has it transformed your life?
Okay, well, I don't think why I'm here has anything to do with that. What drove me to my particular modality of medicine was biological medicine, is my extreme reverence for God and nature, and aligning with God and nature in medicine and in all aspects of my life. So, but I think what brought me here to be in the company of these phenomenal people in the spiritual realms and whatnot, because I didn't start there. I'm very much in the physical, you know, being a biochemist and a medical practitioner in biological medicine. But after 18 years in biological medicine and with a strong passion for curing disease, not disease management, and running full-on retreats, full deep dive retreats. I never had a treatment bar where you just come in for a treatment. Watching the humans get sicker and sicker and sicker. In my medical model, which is extremely effective, extremely effective, curing cancer, anything that's created by oxidative stress, which is the underlying cause of all disease, it fixes because it's, we get the oxidative out and we get the good stuff in, the God nature in. But I saw humans getting sicker and sicker and sicker, okay? And the biotoxin illness and everything that causes disease getting more and more and more abundant bioaccumulation of the toxins on the planet that we've created for the planet. And I was feeling more and more empty. My medical model wasn't as effective anymore. And you can only say because I'm regular people, and I was trying to keep everything while keeping the lights on, keeping it affordable for regular people, to cure their disease, not disease management, which is where the money is for big pharma and all that. Curing, and so that accumulated, and it was accumulating, because I run labs. I'm a scientist. I was running labs, and my clinic. I started in Malibu and Topanga. And so I was seeing it both in, the recovery, leaving my clinic in 30 days or 7 days, the retreat, it's not a clinic, the retreat. And then when COVID hit, we hit the cliff. With the complications that the vaccine caused, all aspects of all diseases, cardiovascular, neurological, gut, gastrointestinal, you name it, we hit the cliff. Straight down. And about 2 years into that, and reversing the jab and this and that, it was becoming impossible for regular people to afford my medical model. And I was becoming less and less satisfied with the results. I look my patients in the eyes for 10 to 15 hours a day for days on end while they're at the retreat. You accumulate a sense of responsibility to people. You go heart to heart, you go eye to eye with people. And you start caring about people. When you're not getting the results you want, it hurts. So January 2 years ago, I hit it. I hit the burnout level. I hit it all. And I walked into my 1,800 square foot retreat center that was just the clinic area, 5 treatment rooms, whatnot, ozone blood dialysis, the best of the best on the planet. And I told my treatment coordinator, I said, pack up my medical equipment, get everything out of here, I'm burning the place down. Okay, I'm out of Texas now. I'm back home in Texas, so I got to, that's a euphemism, that's a metaphor, all right? I didn't burn the place down. I walked out, and I was just going to go on a silent retreat and never come back, or come back in a completely different capacity. In fact, I was the broadcast, I was the director of engineering for NBC, director of engineering and broadcast operations for NBC here in Los Angeles. In fact, every wire in that building, the studios and everything is my design. I was the first person in the United States to convert analog to digital, a broadcast station from analog to digital in 1998. And my patients, when I got into medicine, my patients are the same. I don't diagnose, I troubleshoot. You're a broadcast station to me. So, with a heart. So anyway, but what happened, how I got here, was literally within a week of walking away from that career, everything, a shaman walked into my life, a fifth dimensional shaman, and within a short period of time after that, said to me, can I give you a birthday gift? My birthday was in March, and I said, sure, and I was in Vegas and doing a silent retreat in Vegas. Anyway, she was a fifth dimensional shot, like these people here that have this gift, put me into I went into another dimension, and I was literally love with eyeballs. No, I mean literally. I mean, everything stopped. No treatment, nothing I've ever given a patient got me, or even me doing my own medical. I mean, I am I represent my medical model. I do what I teach and practice. Detox. I live pure. I do all this stuff, and but just that feeling, love with eyeballs. No judgments, no criticisms, no us and them, no anything. Just love.
Janita, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll continue to hear from her. Thank you. So I thought that was a great place to continue later. So Wendy, we'd love to hear from you.
So I was in my mid-20s and I started having visions, and I didn't really know what they were, and I thought they were somehow connected to the old building I was living in Chicago, and so I started doing some research on it. I was like, is it haunted? What's going on? And it was happening to me every time I went to an elevator. There were 2 elevators on the floor, and they opened in different directions. So when I go to one, it felt like I was walking into this vision, and I go to the other one, and it felt backwards. It was very odd, and sometimes I could literally see it and almost touch it, the way that I'm seeing you, and then other times it would be in my mind's eye. And so as I was doing research, this was in the early mid-90s, and I came across channeling, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anybody who did it. I just knew I was supposed to be doing it. And I said to my friends at the time, I said, I know this sounds totally insane, but I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. And they were incredibly supportive. They're like, well, if you need a guinea pig, I'm happy to volunteer. And so it took me about 9 months to actually channel. I was trying to do it verbally, and I had all these sensations in my body, and my eyes would flutter in water, but I couldn't get the words out. And one day I knew I was supposed to sit down with pen and paper, and I started doing automatic writing. And I did that for probably about another 9 months, and I was hearing the words well in advance of what I was writing, and they said, it's time to put down the pen and paper. And once I did that, the Ninth Dimensional Pleiadian Collective came in. Because before that, I was working with all different galactic beings from Arcturus, Sirius, angelic guides. But the Pleiadians were waiting for me to channel verbally because they work with tone and sound. So once I did that, they became my primary guides, and that's who I work with the public, and I've been doing that now for 30 years. And everybody has the ability to do it. Absolutely everybody. It's just about attuning yourself to the station, like tuning in like a radio dial and turning the volume up. And I love it when people say, oh, I could never do that, and yet I just heard them do it. There's when you learn to read the subtle energy, you notice all of the carrier waves that come along with the information. And so when people are channeling, and they're just giving you what sounds like profound wisdom, you can feel it. It's different. And we all do it all the time. So, for me, it's something that is just a way of life. It's so ingrained and it's such a natural state that I think once we touch that, when we really connect with that energy, it has such a deep resonance with us. And I think each person here has kind of talked about that, and we've all had those experiences. And while, it started with those visions, now knowing what I know, when I look back, there were things that happened before that. I started having past life visions, but I didn't know what that was at the time. I didn't recognize that emotional release that I was having, that it was a lifetime in Atlantis that I was recalling, or things that I was doing. It was the late 80s, early 90s. I was doing yoga in Kansas. Things that, I was pursuing theater and film in school, but it gave me a way to work with my body. So I think we all have that path. We don't always recognize it, that we've been on it for a while. It just seems like that thing that's exciting to us. And, one of the things we did early on with what I did through the automatic writing with the guides was the language of light. It came through with symbols. But when I started working with the Pleiadians, I let that go. And in 2014 or 15, they came back and they said, it's time to start working with the language of light again. And I was like, oh, please, don't push me out of my comfort zone. Don't make me do that. It's time. So we use that tool. It's a piece of spiritual technology, and it just helps us attune our own fields, because each and every one of us has the ability to heal ourselves. The body and our consciousness is incredible, and that's really all we need. So, I think the wisdom that the guides have shared and how that impacts me in my life and other people, it's really about coming back to a sense of empowerment, remembering who you are.
Thank you. And Marie?
My journey started, I'm from Belgium, as a very clairvoyant child. And so I started having apparitions of ascended masters since I'm like 2 years old. And so at 7, when I was in my playroom, ascended master Saint Germain came in. And so I was like, oh, there you are. Merlin, I know you as Merlin. And he's like, yeah, I will tell you my other name later. And so he started teaching me about colors and visualization and asked me to draw on paper with 5 colors over and over again the things I want to manifest. So I started doing that. I did not know what I was doing, but I thought it was kind of fun. And so as the time went forward, he would come in regularly and gave me more information. And then at 15, I had an accident with a truck. I was declared dead for more than 20 minutes. And I actually left my body, went to higher realms, and there were 9 ascended masters in front of me, and Saint Germain was in the middle, and he was telling, you have to go back because you're here to enlighten more than 500 million people. Now, when I came back a few days later in my body, I was like, I don't know what that really is, enlightenment. I mean, think about it, I'm Catholic at that point, and one of the things is that they wanted to do plastic surgery on my face because my whole face got ripped off in the accident. And my mother said, we were going to do this plastic surgery, and said, no, you're not going to do that. I'm going to heal myself. Now, you have to remember, when you're Catholic, you don't heal yourself, right? Jesus heals, the angels heal you, whatever. But it was very clear I'm going to do that. And so I started putting my hands on my face, and within 2 weeks, I had the most beautiful skin. And so that was the first time I really understood I had power in me to heal. And so a few months later, Saint Germain came back, and I asked him, what did I do wrong? Like, I've been meditating since I'm 7. I've been a role model. What did I do wrong? And he said, oh, Marie, you just have bad feng shui. And I'm like, what is that, right? So again, I started researching. There was, of course, nothing in any library in my country about that topic. And so he started giving me some basic information that I had to change rooms and different colors and so forth. And he said, later on, I will guide you to somebody that you will learn from. But meanwhile, I want you to become a lawyer. So I became actually an international criminal lawyer because I thought, how can I really affect millions of people worldwide? I mean, I had no idea of our work that we're doing right now, right? So I thought, if I go into politics, of course, that was the wrong direction. But anyhow, at 30, he came back and said, it's time for you to teach. Meanwhile, I had an enlightenment experience at 26. And he's like, yeah, it's time. So I started a spiritual center, had no idea that ever existed in any place in the world. I had, until that time, not met any other person that was a spiritual teacher, except Saint Germain coming by. And then he brought me to a grandmaster in Malaysia, and he said, you need to really teach people that in order to get a pathway to ascension, that if their home is not on a higher frequency, it will be very tough for people to reach ascension. That their environment is affecting them for 33%. And so that is actually, as a spiritual teacher, I was teaching people about ascension, teaching them meditation, working with the violet flames. I did that myself since I was 7. But then also understand that if these energies are not represented in the home, that actually it will be very hard. And that's why for hundreds of years or thousands of years, we went to mystery schools, we went to places to be with a guru, to be in a temple, but we have to start understanding we have to create our 5-dimensional temple where we live. And that has been my work ever since. So later on, I was brought to America. Saint Germain told me, go that moment to America. Then I've always been in surrender to his guidance. And that's how I got, by many other longer stories, in The Secret. And that has reached now more than 500 million people.
Wow.
So.
Wow, amazing stories from each one of our incredible teachers here. And so we can see that in front of us, we have such a myriad of spiritual technologies that each one of you have been utilizing throughout your life, teaching and sharing. And so together here, you all have affected millions and millions of lives, worked with countless. So I'd love for each of you to share, and Lori, maybe you can start, utilizing your specific tools. How can people actually navigate obstacles that come up in their life, challenges that you have faced? How does your work impact them?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, what I want to say is that one of the most challenging things on earth at this time is that humans have been taught to do everything through the brain. So we're overutilizing our brain, and we cannot find our way to unity with Source through the brain. In fact, even more challenging at this time is that because of the infinite experiences that we've had, we have been basically kind of unconsciously programmed to perceive that the external reality has power over us. And we don't really recognize, even if we know it through the brain, because we've been told it in rooms like this, we've been told it, that the external world is a reflection of the internal reality. So this is the most challenging thing, because you cannot learn your connection to your source through the brain. You cannot attend a panel to learn it. You cannot go to a workshop to learn it. You cannot read it in a book. You cannot study it in a church or any form of religious organization. Not that those things are bad. I love panels. I love workshops. I love expos. But you can't learn it through the brain, and it's not something that you can really cultivate or develop just by learning about it. It's something you have to experience direct experience. Now, one of the great challenges in our reality is that because people really don't know how to do that, and we've been taught how to do everything through the brain and perceive everything through the external reality, until we learn our own unique process, our own unique technology within, to connect to our source within, to discover how to cultivate and utilize that in a way that we can disciple ourselves so that we can develop our own divine mastery, until we recognize that from within and experience it, direct experience, we're still just learning about it. And that is not transformation. Real permanent transformation, real spiritual growth will result in permanent transformation for the better, for your better. And this lifetime, this incarnation, if we're just dancing around in the physical reality, like learning about things through the brain, we're not making the growth and the progress we really are here to make. So what I teach is direct experience. And the process that I teach, which is about going through the core pillar. What's the core pillar? Your major energy center. And teaching people to access through the Sacred Heart Center. What's the Sacred Heart Center? You have a portal in your heart. This is why the chakra center of the heart chakra has two colors. The green represents a connection to the earth. The red, or really magenta or pink, represents connection to the higher realms. The portal within the heart, which is known by science, it's called the Einstein-Rosen bridge. It's real. Portals are real. We have to learn how to access our connection through that portal, where we're, in a sense, staying in the physical, but accessing those other multidimensional aspects of who we truly are, so that we can come into alignment with our source through direct experience. Once you have direct experience, no one in the external world can start telling you otherwise, because your direct experience is your knowing. And your direct experience is what's going to heal and resolve all of these energetic densities, inertia in the physical world that is blocking or stopping you in the first place. Because once you start to come into alignment with that source, all that inertia can't coexist harmoniously with the divinity that you are, because that stuff gets expunged. You come into your divinity and your higher knowing. your alignment with your source through your unique connection, which happens through the Sacred Heart Portal. This cannot happen through the brain. Okay, I hope that's helpful. That's what I teach.
Beautiful. Thank you. So Renee.
Ditto.
That was easy.
But I'd like to add one little piece. Several thousands of years ago, we all went inside. No matter what color you are, what continent you lived on, but we all went inside. We built these structures that then had wind eyes. And these wind eyes, which is the old English term for windows, separated us from source. And once we got inside, we needed intermediaries to tell us what was true and how to interpret the signs and all of that. So we forgot. We forgot that at one time we were in nature, we are nature, and that we could read all of the clues that nature provides for us when we're more in alignment with that. So I second all of what she just said. And one of the ways that that the tool that I use the most is a wind walk. So a wind walk is when you go to the front door, you ask the question of who, what, where, when, and how, not so much the why questions, and you wait for the wind to give you a kiss on the cheek, or the leaves blow in the trees, or there's a leaf in front of your path or a feather, and then you walk. And then you look for the signs in nature. You don't look for the answer to your question, and you watch. And sure enough, within your walk, or within your day, or within your dream, you're going to get a direct revelation. And that's where the truth lives. Once you get back out from your wind eyes and back outside.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Maureen.
You know, I so echo everything that's been said, and I think we're all going to end up saying something similar. I would like to add that in 1994, I was told by my guides that the heart chakra would be the lowest chakra. And at the time, my logical brain said, oh, that must mean that the lower chakras atrophy. That's not what happened. So I sat with this knowing without understanding, okay? If you can imagine being shown something and told something, but not having real clear understanding. Ultimately, I came across a picture drawn by a mystic from 1600s called Gitchell. And he showed a running dog pointing up and a spiral around the chakras going down. And I instantly understood it. The mystics that studied with him never described it, and Gitchell himself never wrote what it meant. He had been ostracized in France and other countries. He had been a lawyer at one point, and so he was very cautious about what he left for people to see and understand. Ultimately, I developed a way to turn your chakras on their side. First of all, you would activate from the heart, start with the heart, and then move to the solar plexus. Now, if you have unconditional love in your heart and you build that first, and then you move to your solar plexus where all the energy and the churn, and especially a lot of negative stuff, that all turns into courage. And then you take that courage and it goes to the throat chakra. And the throat chakra is your power and your will. And so now you've embodied courage into your will. And you continue to do that with a connection to the higher chakra and then a connection to the lower chakra. Ultimately, you end up with this spiral connection. Now, spiral is feminine. It is the divine feminine. Straight lines in geometry, in sacred geometry, are considered male, and curvy lines are considered feminine. But the interesting thing is all of nature is curved. When you see plants grow, they grow in a spiral, or they evolve in a spiral. So as I worked with this, and I had been working with sacred geometry for a very long time and recognized what this meant, I understood that the whole system that I had built around the body would then tilt 90 degrees, and my crown chakra would be behind me, and my base chakra would be in front of me, and I allowed them to spin around me like I'm the sun and these are the planets. And I was told by my guides that the chakras were never intended to be tucked into the body and to be depressions, and that they were always out there around the body. But because of many misuses and interlopers interfering with humans' development, the chakras were tucked into the body for safekeeping. So this is now known as the spiral chakra meditation. It is available on my app. And what happens when you activate this energy field, you get the same effect that Renee's talking about, because you are now connected to a much bigger environment than just your immediate space. And there's more to come.
Thank you, Maureen. Yuri.
Yeah, so I'm a hypnotherapist, and I was using a lot of regression therapy on people. And what I also very much agree with what Lori was saying is we're overloaded with information for the brain. I don't think we need to teach more about how to do things and how to even ascend using certain technology. It's to me, it's more of reprogramming your subconscious mind, because that's where we say we are not, but you are still in the fear that is residing. Like you always say, no, I'm enlightened and I'm good. And many of my clients are like, oh, I did like a 10 ayahuasca and I'm ascended. And I'm like, well, but I'm seeing you're still stuck in 15 years of a toxic relationship. You're still not out, right? I'm like, how do you expect to ascend or go to new earth when you're still in a toxic relationship and you're still trying to just go to the next gadget that can cure your relationship? Because it's all in your subconscious mind. So the way I teach is you have to actually open that up, which is what you all talked about, by going into your heart space, going into the root cause of what created certain beliefs that's driving you to act and be in fear for not only in this lifetime, but for many thousands of years of your past lives and also multidimensional lives that you are stuck in. And unless you reprogram that with new thoughts and new beliefs about who you want to be, it's going to be a tough ride.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuri. So, Janita, how would you like to share about your modalities?
Okay, I'm going to keep this real short. It's probably all I'm going to have left to say tonight. From where she's came from, if all there is love, then there is nothing to fear. And a great rabbi, the guy who wrote the book, Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People, he said in the foreword of that book, love one another, be kind to each other. And I'll only add to that, whenever you're challenged in any situation, look with a person, look to what you have in common with them, as opposed to what you think you don't have in common. Yeah, okay? And start from there. And all the rest of it works out, In my world, you don't need a guide, you don't need a book, you don't need anything. You came with a heart. And that's all you need is to love.
And Wendy?
One of the things I love about the Pleiadians is that in 30 years, their core message hasn't changed a bit. And every single time I channel, they talk about being in the heart center because it's that important. They describe it as having two operating systems. We have the operating system of the ego mind, which are the programs of lack, limitation, and separation, and that's what allows us to play in this version of reality, in 3D reality. We thought, wouldn't it be fun to see if we could lower ourselves in density and come back out, a game of descension and reascension. And then we have the operating system of the heart, which allows us access to multidimensional information. So from their vantage point, it's really about moving to that operating system. And once we're in that space, we have access to all of the higher wisdom. We have access to the high mind. And it's as easy as thinking of something that makes you smile. It doesn't require hours of meditation. And hi. It just really is about finding that image, and they often will recommend a place in nature or baby animals. Sometimes not your pets because they may have chewed your favorite pair of shoes. But just going back to those images, and we know we're in the right space when we feel expanded. We might feel tingly, warm. And if we're having a really hard day, then we might have to go to that a couple times to get kind of above that ceiling. It's like a plane taking off and it's a cloudy, rainy day, but you're going to break through the clouds and it's sunny. So it's kind of the same thing, that we have to keep doing that with our own energetic field and getting up higher and higher and higher. And you'll find that frequency. And one of the things they also recommend doing is keeping a list of tools that you have acquired. So the times that you need your tools, those are the times we forget that we even have them. So you can set a reminder on your phone once an hour. Do I need a tool for my toolbox? Am I in my heart center? And if not, you just simply make that adjustment. And it's not about sustaining that. It's not about beating yourself up because you've fallen out. This is a game of mastery, that you recognize where you are and that you can alter that frequency in a breath. It doesn't take a long time. It really is as simple as a breath. So that's a big part of the work that I do with the guides and the tools that we use. But also we work with the language of light, which is a source language. It's comprised of light, sound, sacred geometry, and then cosmic information. And when you experience the language of light, it speaks directly to you, the divine being of light, having this physical experience. So it bypasses that ego mind, and it just reminds you of frequencies. It's like somebody asking you to sing a specific note, and if you don't have perfect pitch, it's very hard. But if somebody plays that note on a piano and you say, oh, that note, okay, I can reproduce that. And that's what the language of light does for you. It helps remind you of a specific frequency, and then you reattune yourself to that energy. So those are the two biggest tools that we work with.
And Marie.
Yes. So, thousands of years ago, there were so many mystery schools that were really working with the level of frequencies and resonant fields. And as we know, and I love the window metaphor, that we actually went inside and we forgot about the mysteries of energy. And so one of the mystery schools that was known in China were the shamans, literally, of that land, really understood how wind was working, because feng shui literally means wind and water. It's all about the flow of frequency. And that's both in our body, and of course that was expressed by, for example, practicing Qigong, Tai Chi, acupuncture. But also feng shui is actually talking about the wind energy in the space that you live when we were inside. And so one of the things I have learned over the years is that when we are tuning in with the right wind directions, that we actually have an energy profile that is connected with your birthday and your birth gender, that there are wind directions that for you, if you connect with it and align with it, that you actually have, first of all, your chakras aligned, but also your pineal gland will open up. And so for me, the work that I've been doing, it looks like, oh, it's just like something practical. I want to create love and some romance and money and whatever. But there's a whole other field on it, is that I'm here to enlighten you by using the wind where you live, where you are. Not just the breath, but it's the breath of the chi in your home, in your space. Because we are now inside. Yeah, we have now the windows and the doors around us. And so one of the things I've seen is that once people know their perfect wind directions based on their energy profile, and if they would look at these directions in the three-dimensional world, they will have an easier access to the fifth dimensional, nine-dimensional, whatever dimension you want to go to. The whole point is, if you want to find that out, you can get my app. It's a free app, Marie Diamond app. And so you put in your birthday and birth gender, and you find out your 4 best directions. And each direction, each time you face that direction, will actually align your chakras. You go easier in alpha, theta, and delta frequencies, and your pineal gland will open up. So for me, the work always has been to go into the world and talk about something it looks kind of very practical, feng shui. But what that people don't know is I'm enlightening them. I'm opening up their wind energy in their body, in their mind, in their heart. And so then you create harmony when you are in that alignment. And so this is kind of the work I've been doing. And so, facing the right direction. And I checked on my app, I'm facing a really good direction tonight. So I'm very happy.
Wonderful. And so we're hearing from our panelists, the importance of the heart, connecting and staying in the heart, returning to the heart and having these experiences. I'd love for each of you, because you're so in tune with the modalities that you have been teaching for so long, what are some simple yet powerful ways people can integrate your practice and teachings into their daily lives for greater clarity, balance, and spiritual evolution? And Wendy, you'd like to share first?
Oh, well, I think it goes back to what I was saying before. Setting an alarm on your phone is probably one of the easiest things to do, and that's something I did for a very long time, and then it just became habit. I didn't need the alarm, so I was regularly checking in, and when you go to that heart-centered space, you have clarity about the things that you need to shift in terms of your thinking and the actions that you need to take in order to put yourself in alignment with what it is that you want to create. So when you keep going back to that heart-centered space, life just gets so much easier. And I really can't stress how much easier it gets when you go there if you can just keep going again and again and again and letting go of the things that you think you need to fix and focus on the fact that you are divinely perfect as you are in this moment, as you always will be. I love the window analogy because the guys often give that as an example as well, that you are a beautiful, brilliant white light. You contain all of the frequencies, and that's within you. And just like a window, that light shines out, but all your limiting beliefs are the dirt on the window. And so from the outside, it looks dim, and we're trying to see ourselves from the outside. So, as you go into that heart-centered space, you reconnect with that light that's within you, and you see the brilliance of it.
Thank you. And Janita, how would you like to share?
I like Miss Kennedy. She triggers a lot of really good stuff in my head. She does. So, like what she said about fixing things. So, the shaman that I work with at the clinic, who provides the energy medicine, because that stuff's above my pay grade, she works. I think she actually channels. I don't know if you all heard of Hildegard von Bingen. She was she was just named a saint recently, but the first behavioralist they're saying now. But she was a nun in the Catholic Church, and anyway, trying to make this short. She spoke of. She wrote of the 35 vices and virtues, right? So every vice has its virtue, and about fixing things. See, the vices are always in the front, in focus, right? Because they're in the 3D. The virtues were always in the ethereal, in the around, all around us, in the invisible. The virtues. And that's exactly what she said. What people are trying to do is fix this, fix that. This illusion that you're not good enough, or that the world isn't good enough, or whatever. What's in focus. And I think that's cultural, that's trained, that's being in a 3D, that especially in our lifetimes. And what we're practicing at the Biosanctuary with the shaman that Cynthia Ritchie, I'll say about her by her name, is focusing, going into meditation, going into to focus on the virtue. So whenever there's any kind of difficulty in your life or whatnot, identify, like, go down Hildegard's 35 virtues and vices, virtues. So there's there's the counterbalance, the vice and the virtue. So identify the vice. What could be upsetting the moment, taking the moment out of balance, right? And then what's the virtue? What's the opposite of that vice? And then meditating, focusing on the virtue, bringing the divine law, the divine essence, into focus, and which makes, literally, you're not fixing anything. It's just really making the vice, whatever it's called, disappear, dissolve, right? By focusing on the virtue instead of trying to fix something. I consider fixing anything an energy leak, because what is there to fix? And there's nothing to fix, like she said, we're all perfect. We're all perfect light beings. So there really isn't anything to fix. So the virtues remind us of that. And that's it.
Thank you. And Marie, what practices would you like to share?
Well, I think one of the practices that we need to become aware of is to really be aware when we are not in resonant with that light that we are, right? And so sometimes people don't even see it, that they are not in that full potential of that light. And of course, it's important to remind yourself of that every day. And so one of the things my students do, they do every day, Tubes of Light meditation, they start with that, to really be in connection with that light, but also to release anything that is perhaps not in harmony with that light. And you can say, well, we are in perfection in the light we are, but in the three-dimensional field, we are having that dirt on our windows, right? I think that window thing really resonated with us. And so we need to really wash, literally, that dirt off, like to become aware that we have these negative thoughts and feelings, and to not just to get stuck in it, but just to release them every day. I'm a big believer in every day releasing whatever is there and to become aware of it, starting your day with that, ending your day with that, or whatever you want to put your alarm on. So to really connect with that, but also not just in yourself, but also around you. Right? So I've seen people that are sometimes so stuck and not seeing their full potential of light, and most of the time these people then create a chaotic experience around them. They have a lot of clutter, they keep on holding on to a lot of objects from the past because they're holding on in themselves to the past that is not released. It could be that things are broken around them, but there's actually broken in them, in their heart. And so, sometimes it's hard to release within yourself, and sometimes it's easier to start looking outside of yourself, yeah? And knowing that it's all one, of course, that reality you have created. So if you can let go of lower vibrations and cleaning up and creating order, creating harmony around you, it will affect inside of you. And sometimes it's an easier way for most people, because they don't always have the strength anymore to really work on themselves. Perhaps they're so in pain or in suffering. And then I always suggest to them, but why don't you start outside? Why don't you start creating some space outside of you, in your closets, going through all the things you have. And it helps them each time they do that to also release something within themselves. So it's kind of a practice I suggest.
Thank you. So Yuri, what are some practices you would suggest?
Well, other than mushroom?
Sure.
Well, I mean, since you're saying very practical, I mean, I do have to say, as a mushroom carrier, they're actually really helpful. Every day, just microdose. It's a subconscious mushroom to shift your subconscious from fear to love. It's very simple. However, I do have to add in, you have to actually work with the belief and trust, because that's what I always face with my clients. They know everything consciously, but they actually don't believe in subconscious level. And the only way to shift that is to, you know, what you guys talked about, releasing and bringing in. But it has to be coded in you in subconscious level. So we're just the tools to kind of help with that. I mean, they're not going to do it for you, but they're just the tools to kind of, as a daily practice, just as simply. Yeah.
Thank you, Yuri. And Maureen.
Many years ago, I inadvertently used a word that stands for the opposite of heaven as I was coming off of an airplane. And I was embarrassed because the clerk who was handling my luggage was also the clerk that checked me in, because it was a small airport that I was flying in and out of. And I immediately corrected myself and said, but I'm having a day of heaven on earth because I'm flying with United. And she smiled, and I went on my day. I came home, and there was 2 inches of water in my basement. There was a pipe that had a leak, and I wasn't sure what to do. So I turned off the water, called my neighbor, and I proceeded to get a plumber. He said he would be there within an hour, and he was. He asked me to where he should start to drill to find the leak between the walls. And I asked my higher self, and that turned out to be the perfect spot. Cost me only $100 to repair the pipe. My neighbor came over with extra fans so we could dry out the walls. And oh, by the way, I had to be on a flight later that day. And I had called the airlines and explained my situation, and they waived the change fee and said, we'll put you on the later flight. So now I had time to go to the bank and make my deposit. That's how long ago it was. I was actually using cash and checks. And I come home and the phone is ringing, and it's United Airlines, a real person, and she says, both of our feeder flights into Chicago are running late. Is there any way you can be on the earlier flight? Otherwise, you will miss your connection to the East Coast. So my bags were packed. I had changed out my underwear, and everything else was the same. And I said, yes, actually, my suitcase is in the car already, and I can be there in 15 minutes. So I'm sitting on the plane, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking to myself, that was amazing. My neighbor isn't always home. Sometimes he's at the cabin in the woods. And I asked, how did this happen? How was this so easy? And my guides came in and said, well, you said you were having a day of heaven on earth. So then I said to myself, well, the next time I have a chock-a-block day, I'm going to ask for a day of heaven on earth. The second time I asked, I recognized that I could ask for this every day, and so can you. I'm asking for a day of heaven on earth for me and everyone I'm in contact with and everyone I am in contract with.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. And Renee.
Well, we need to go back to those dirty windows. So since we know now we're nature, right? Nature has cycles, and I have little maps that I could send you about, you know, like right now in society we're the decaying log as we end this, you know, this, we move into this one epoch into the next epoch. But even in our daily lives and our moment to moment, we're in a cycle. So in the East, you might be in the new beginning, But always when you're in the new beginning, it's going to send you right to the south where your emotional needs and desires aren't met. And then you're going to have to go over to the west where there's harvest and endings in your physical body, and up to the north where your spiritual and community and service are. And this service, which is on my map, is in the north, and it's not the same for everyone's map, but in my wind work. And then the south is your emotional needs and desire. Well, the east and the west are kind of nice because the sun rises and sets, but the north and the south, they are in total opposition to each other. So how you want to be in service in the world always is in opposition to how your emotional needs and desires are. So cleaning up those windows, for me, is about not taking the spiritual bypass. You know, I used to teach at the Bhakti Fest, and I used to always talk, they kept me there. I wasn't a yoga person, but I was an off-the-mat yoga person, where to me, it's really, really important to do your personal work. Because for a long time when people would say, oh, Source told me, and Source told me this, and Source told me that, they're like, your windows are dirty. You're telling me stuff through your filter. Yeah. And so for me, the best way that I can work is to make sure that my filter is as clean, as my air conditioning filter in the desert in May. And how I do that is I look to see what bothers me. And, in AA and places like that, they call that a resentment. And basically, resentment means refeel. So look at what you're refeeling in the South, and that's where you start with the work so that you can be of service in the North. Because if you're still doing to get, it's not ever going to get you too far. And that's in my book. It never got me too far because, I wanted more than I was giving, or I really had to do a lot of self-cleaning in order to be able to bring in the winds.
Thank you, and Lori.
Yeah, in terms of tools, here's what I would say. We've already talked about this, you have the technology within you. You do have to learn certain practices because our old paradigm is really we're existing in the physicality, in the physical world, operating through the brain. And we're operating through this perspective of separation and individuation and duality. So in order to shift into the new paradigm of what we're evolving in, we have to become someone new. We have to become a different frequency, vibration, and consciousness. And that vibration, frequency, and consciousness exists within you. So the tools or the practices that you use that are right and appropriate for you are within you too. Learning what those are relatively easy. It's a matter of these basics. Number one, you have to know how to get into a different brainwave state. Very easy to learn, very easy to do. You can't always be operating from the beta brainwave that we're in right now, right? And we have to start utilizing more of our brain capacity in a whole different way. When you're in a gamma brainwave, you are extremely conscious. There's a godzillion things going on. You're aware of it all. It's all happening in the here now. You know everything, but there is no logical mind operating. It's not a beta brainwave. So know and learn how to get into different brainwave states at will. At will, at choice, and with time and practice, not that much time, very little time, you'll be able to start existing in a completely different brainwave, which will put you into a new state of being. I'm almost always 24/7 in a different brainwave state other than beta. Even when I'm driving, I'm in the zone, right? You can do that because then you're being a different frequency. Right? And when I say different in this case, I actually mean better, improved, an improved version of us. Number two, learn how to activate your third eye, pineal pituitary gland, master glands in the brain. Yes, they need to be decalcified. In this old paradigm, they've been calcified from everything we know that's not healthy for us. You know what it is, fluoride, GMOs, on and on, right? Chemtrails, we could go on and on about all those things. Regardless, learn how to deactivate your own third eye. Do it regularly, practice it, and apply it in your life because those master glands are a gateway to your extrasensory abilities. And everybody needs to know how to do it if you really want to progress on your journey. When you start doing that, you're going to be developing capacities within you to function in this world in such a better, more improved way. You're going to be able to function at such a more accelerated pace, not accelerated in a like stressy way, in a way that is so much more valuable and effective to you as a human in this physical earthly realm. And your capacities will expand so that you can be of service in a greater potential, with much greater potential. So that's number 2. Number 3, learn how to clear your chakras, because your chakras are carrying gunk and junk, debris, energetic interference, the same way unflossed teeth would. And if the chakras aren't cleared regularly and frequently, you're carrying that junk and gunk around and eventually leads to some form of dis-ease and decay. Moreover, in addition to that, learn how to clear your multidimensional field. How large do you think your field is? Your field as a unique individuated being. Anyone? Your field is larger than the size of a 2-story house. 55 feet in diameter. You're an orb of energy. That field is carrying all kinds of influence, interference, and nothing to be afraid of. Inertia, not non-physical energy. That's just keeping you in the realm of density. And when I say you, I mean all of us. So learn how to clear your field. Your field is huge, massive. Your potential to influence the fields around you is so massive. Your capacity to affect positively the whole of humanity is beyond measure. But when you know how to clear your field and understand the scope of your field and your capacity by clearing your multidimensional field, this stuff is easy to learn but not widely known or understood. Not taught very often. Not many teachers can teach it. So learn how to do that. Number 4, learn about resonance. Get yourself in resonance with high frequency beings and be high frequency. What does that mean? What does it mean to be high frequency? It's not something that happens through the brain, love and light. Oh, let's talk about love and not be it. No, embody the energies of divine love, divine peace, divine joy. These are beyond human interpretation. You understand? These are not things that our brain can sit there and say what it is or analyze, or we can just think our way through it. No, we become an entirely new vibration. We become the vibration of divine love, divine peace, divine joy, divine harmony, divine grace. It is an entirely new way of being. This is what it means when we say raise your vibration. This isn't just something you do by going out and sitting at the beach, although I love that stuff too. That's awesome. Go be in nature, all that stuff. But this is a new way of being. So put yourself in resonance with the frequencies that you want to be. And that is a learned skill that is very easy, just not widely known or not widely taught, but something you can master. You become a disciple to your own ascension and your own evolution by understanding the core basics. These are core basics. Once you know how to do them, you apply them, you live them. They're fast, they're easy, they're fun. Better than fun, they're freaking blissful. And then you become part of the solution on planet Earth. That's what I say.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these powerful tools and practices. And my next question is, are there any common misconceptions about the practices and tools that you all teach on the path to ascension that you'd like to clear up? And Marie, would you like to start first?
Okay, must be me. Okay. Well, I think one of the major misconceptions is that people see themselves as separate from each other. And so in that separation, we don't see that the other is us and we are the other. And I think if we could start understanding that, everyone is a reflection of that light that we are, and that other person is a reflection of the light that you are, that would actually change the whole experience. And so, of course, there's this huge divide that is created by this three-dimensional field of separation. But, we need to really, on the path of ascension, start seeing that the other is you and you are the other. And that perhaps not completely the other in a three-dimensional world, but the light and the soul and the heart is the same. And so when we can get over that misconception, that I think is what we all need to practice every day, like what you were just sharing, the last panel member that spoke. I'm sorry if I forgot you. Lori, yeah. It is really tuning in to the highest level of our light, or the highest level of our soul, the highest level of our love, the highest level of healing, the highest level of abundance, and knowing that as you are that the other will also experience it. Yeah. And so if we really want to go beyond that big divide that many people experience, and we can only do that to see that, we are a reflection of each other.
Thank you. And Wendy?
So I think I want to talk about the process of manifestation. Because we live in a dualistic universe, everything has its polar opposite, and that's what allows us to play in the 3D reality, is this illusion of separation. But where we're moving towards is more of the neutral standpoint. It's the acceptance of both polarities. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the judgment of a polarity. And in the process of manifestation, when you understand that you are still holding judgment for something because you are thinking that the positive thing is better and you want to go to the better thing, you're going to stay in a loop with the negative, the thing you don't like, until you accept it as being a valid exploration of frequency. You release that judgment that this is better, that's worse. And people get stuck there. They're like, I'm doing all this work, but I'm not moving towards that thing that I want. I can't have it because you're still in resonance with the judgment. Mm-hmm. It's subtle, but it makes a huge difference in what you are manifesting and creating. And so it's really about becoming aware that that thing that seems dark and heavy is what gives you perspective of the light. It helps you to understand it. And when you're in relationship with that experience, it's seeing how it serves you. In every single moment, everything that you create shows you how you are expressing or suppressing your divine light. So if you're creating a challenge and you can recognize that it's difficult, great. It's showing you that there's more light to be had. You're in the challenge energy right now. And when you go back into the heart energy, you move up in frequency so you can see the solution energy. But you've got to let go of the judgment that that thing is bad or wrong, and somehow you're victimized by that negative thing. When you see how it serves you, you stand back in your power. And you can use that. And Ascension is really about releasing judgment.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. And Janita?
Ditto. It just occurred to me, the title of my next book is going to be The Lazy Person's Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. I don't think you have to do anything. Aside from, reverence for God and nature, releasing, you don't have to do anything. Aside from reverence for God and nature, that is loving each other, being kind, that's reverence for that person, that mirror of you and that other person, that person next to you. We're all God's children. We're all going home, Just relax, enjoy the ride, and just be good to each other, seriously. I think that's my next book title, Lazy Person's Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. Start tonight.
And Renee?
Dear. I think for me, I remember when everyone used to say, oh, we're all connected. And I used to want to go, ah. And then I found the wind. And it made such perfect sense because when you come into this earth, your first, what do? They give you a slap on the butt, although it might be child abuse these days, but, to gulp in that wind. And then when you leave this planet, you exhale your wind. And that same wind that you breathe in and then exhale is going to go around the world in a few short days. And so the misconception is actually the truth, that we are connected, but we're connected through the wind. Breathing it in and breathing it out. So to me, it's really important that that wind breath that I breathe out, that's going to go around the world to Russia or to the Ukraine or to wherever, has that light and that love that I want to send, because we're all breathing this wind together.
Thank you. Maureen.
Okay, so I have two very common misconceptions that I want to talk about. And the first one is related to what was said earlier about the polarity experience. Now, I'm the practical mystic, so I'm not satisfied to know what it is I'm supposed to know. I want to be able to share with you a way to get to the next piece. So I'm going to teach you how to look at the polarity and step outside of it. And the way to do that is we've all had the chance to watch what I will call competitions, either a basketball game or a football game or an ice skating competition. We've all seen these things. And when you are, if you live in Wisconsin, you're a Green Bay Packers fan, whether you want to be or not. But if you are the observer of basketball, let's say, and you like to see the mastery of a man shooting a basketball or a woman shooting a basketball and having it whoosh, create that beautiful shape into the basket, and you enjoy watching the skill of that basketball player, but you're not affiliated with any of the teams you're watching, you can say to yourself or to your companions, oh, that was a great move. Oh, did you see that? That was amazing. I hope they give it on replay. And so you're appreciating this side and that side. And that's the way to step out of polarity. So you look at the experience that's being put in front of you and you find something to appreciate. That's really clever. That was an awesome move. And then over here, oh my gosh, they were so fast to respond. They were so good at it. And you find yourself observing the polarity from a point of appreciation, and that keeps you in joy. Okay? The second misconception that I find, and this is a little bit insidious, and that is when people start to receive guidance, many people are being guided by energies that are not of 100% alignment to our evolution. And when that happens, they can be saying 5 good things and one thing that's a little off. And that continues. And so to give an example, a woman came to me at a conference and was telling me how much she liked my work and she didn't need to study with me anymore because she was now channeling her higher self, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at her and I'm reading the field and I can clearly see that the thing that she is channeling is not her higher self. But she didn't ask me. So I said nothing. I said, well, good for you. Then she went and had a private session with someone else, and that person told her, that's an energy that's not your higher self. And I don't want to label it because we're choosing not to. And she was devastated. So then she came back to me and repeated the whole story. And I smiled and said, yes, you didn't ask me, but that's what I saw too. So now I can validate what the other channel said. But what was important is for her to understand that it is possible to receive messages and to get information. Thank you. That is not 100% God light. And the way to ensure is to simply say, if this energy is 100% God light, you're welcome to stay and I'll work with you. If you're not of 100% God light, you need to leave now. And one of the ways these energies come in is through your ear. So a lot of people get what I would call a high-pitched sound in their right ear. And that is often, and what the guide said recently is those beings that are coming in, they aren't bad guys, but they're curious. They want to know what's going on over here. And so they're playing with you. It's like a practical joke for them. It's fun for them, but it's not your source. So make sure you ask. If you're 100% God light, you can say. If you're not, you need to leave now. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lori.
Thank you. So we're doing common misperceptions. The first thing is, what I would like to say that's the most common misperception is things that happen that are so-called bad or wrong or not good for you are somehow like bad, right? The higher truth is you're an internal being, and your soul as a unique individuated self who has traversed, incarnation to incarnation. Even if you don't buy into that stuff, that's fine. Just look at physics. It's just as clearly evident that physics describes that you exist in different time-space realities all at once, and you're experiencing yourself through the lens of linearity, right? Your perspective, regardless of whether you count it as past parallel lifetimes or you in different dimension time-space realities. Here's the thing. You're an eternal soul going through experiences, and your soul in this incarnation has an agenda, and that agenda sometimes is labeled as different kinds of contracts, agreements. But in reality, what it is you came here for some kind of growth or evolution or expansion or experience. And you get to interpret because everything is through the lens of the interpreter. So you get to decide, what is this? What meaning does this have? And if you decide that somehow it's wrong or bad, then you put yourself in a polarized experience. You put yourself in the space of duality the moment you're labeling it as wrong. But in fact, you chose it on some level, which we know. Right? That's what agreements, contracts are in a sense. So what's the purpose? How is it serving you? There is no bad or wrong. There's simply that which is desirable and that which is undesirable, that which is to your highest and most benevolent best in a way that is aligned with your growth and your evolution, and that which is going to trigger you in some way, catalyze you in some way towards that growth. Either way, it somehow serves you. So the moment you start to perceive that which you might judge as wrong, someone mentioned judgment, and recognize that it's serving your growth, your evolution, and start to inquire, what are the gifts here? What are the gifts of this? How is this meant to serve me in the best ways possible and ideally with harm to none? The moment you start to shift into that, you're now going to start receiving the frequencies, the energies, the consciousness, especially if you can get yourself into altered state, altered brainwave state, or if you understand how to go through Sacred Heart Portal, then you can start receiving those gifts energetically, vibrationally, and in consciousness. And you're no longer in the state of duality and separation. Because again, yes, it was said earlier, you're not meant to resist, and you're not meant to carpet sweep, right? Carpet sweep is like some form of denial. That's someone else's problem. They did this to me. They did that. That's wrong. It's all meant to support the soul's evolution. So through the recognition of the soul's evolution, the receivership of the gifts that are meant to expand and up-level, that is part of how you shift vibration and evolve and grow by receiving the gifts from the experience, even that which we would describe as challenging. That's the real misnomer, is when we, that thing that if we judge something as wrong or bad, or we point the finger, or we blame or shame or criticize or condemn something, and we're not recognizing the gifts in that we're not consciously aware of at the moment, even though the experience is perhaps distasteful to us or something we don't necessarily like or desire. One last piece on this I'll say that's a common misperception when it comes to this, because yes, what we struggle with, what we're entangling or resisting, we're just giving strength to. So the idea is to understand that everything's energetic. At one vibrational frequency, we may be struggling or challenged with something, but at another vibrational frequency, we not only have received the gifts, but we have those gifts now to share in the world and to contribute and to serve and to make our contribution on earth, which ultimately our greatest internal joy, our highest fulfillment, ultimately is going to come through our great gift of sharing, giving, and being of service and contribution in ways that are good and right, divinely aligned.
Thank you. And Yuri.
Yeah, a misconception from my work actually has been as an leading people to different dimensional state, past lives and multidimensional state, would be asking this question back at me, like, did I just make this up? Did I just imagine this? Are you imagining this? Am I imagining this? And I get that a lot. And I said, great. If you imagine that, great. Good for you. You're getting closer. Because we actually lost the ability to imagine, which is the most important part. Imagining, creating, which is where we want to go. We're moving away from the duality of the three-dimensional state. That means we want to be creating a different world. If you don't have ability to imagine, which is the first step, then we are not creating. No one's going to give us this 5D, 7D, 9D universe. We are actually the one who's creating it. So we want to boost that ability for you to imagine. And that's also going to happen if you participate on believing that's where it starts. Again, the imagination was also taken away. At the same time, the mushroom actually got disappeared. It was actually ordered in around 13th century by the controller. We don't want people to imagine because it's going to give them the power to create, and then that's when they disappeared from our field with a great excuse that they're the poisonous, which is another misconception on this mushroom. Well, I have been taking thousands of grams of this mushroom, and I'm alive. And there are people, not just myself, and I have my own clients, and there are 20,000 people from Russia that's been microdosing, and 90% of the people are getting amazing benefits, right? So now I'm getting a little tired on the source because all those Russians are now taking it. And immediately when this began, they start having this battle of the belief that they used to have. This was poisonous mushroom. And the people who were courageous enough to tap into this other world about it is not from the spirit, that it's actually here to help us. So those are the two things I'd like to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuri. So thank you for clearing up. There's so many misconceptions around ascension and the spiritual path. So I think it's really important to share these beliefs and be able to move forward with empowerment on our ascension path. What I'd love to hear from all of you, because now we've heard about so many different tools and techniques and practices, and people can sometimes feel overwhelmed because there are so many tools out there. There's so many paths. There's infinite ways. How do you guide people personally when they come to you and ask, am I on the path to ascension? What is my next step? And of course, for each person, it's different. But where do you start? Where is the starting point for people coming in with clarity and balance? And Maureen, if you'd like to start.
Well, I often go into the Akashic Records with people when they ask that question, and each answer is different. What I can say is the record keepers will often identify a specific situation, a specific energy that allows them to see what they need to see in order to shift and change. An example is when a client had a session and the very first things the guide said to her was, you don't have to struggle with your life vest when you get on your boat. You're safe. And she got all excited and said, how did you know I had a boat? And so, I started to laugh and say, I didn't know you had a boat. That was the record keepers. And we have the session. And at the end, she says, I don't even believe in reincarnation. But if I did, how did I die in a past life? And I'm thinking to myself as a personality, I don't want to tell her that. But the record keeper said it was a appropriate. And so I said, well, you drowned. And she gasped. And then I reminded her that the record keeper said to her in the beginning, you will never need to do this again. You've done this, and you are fine, and you are safe. You will never choose this again. So she was holding the memory, and kind of refers to some of the stuff Lori talks about. She's holding the memory with a belief system that it was going to happen again, you see? And what I learned later is that the person who referred her to me, they were pals, and the new lady to me wasn't one of us. And yet she was still interested in having that conversation. So I used the Akashic Records to tap into a situation and help the person identify what they're doing that's making them stuck. And then the answer becomes obvious, because the record keepers not only will tell you what's going on, but they will also give you advice, like a grandma.
Thank you. And Yuri, how do you do this?
Yes. Now the wind comes in here. So how I do when a lot of people are being overwhelmed with lots of information, then I say, let's breathe, with an intention of understanding what is it here for you to prioritize what you wanna do and where you wanna be, and then we do a breath sessions.
Nice.
And then after an hour of session, you get very clear. Very
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you. And Lori?
Okay, so can you say the question again? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. So how do you, because there's so many tools, people can feel overwhelmed.
Oh, how do I tell people where they're at?
Yes.
Where they're
And
at
how
of
do
their journey. Okay,
how do
thank you.
And how do you give guidance on
Yes.
how to move forward?
Okay, so this is the thing. As it was said, every soul is on their own unique journey. The stuff that shows up in your incarnational experience is the stuff you're here to work on. And you go through different phases. So wherever you are at your phase, here's what I do when I'm first connecting with someone, right from the get-go. If a client comes or a student comes into my sacred mentorship, there's keys. There's key codes for you. First and foremost, it's in your numerology. It's in your nameology. It's in your astrology. It's in your Akashic records. This is what I said when I first started. It will never be denied to you. Those are early stages. It's in your DNA. Your DNA, the codes in your dormant DNA, which are completely as unique as your thumbprint, they are completely unique to you. They're accessible that way through consciousness. So there's lots of ways to find this out. And for skilled practitioners who can help early awakeners or no matter where you are, because this is no matter where you are in your journey, because here's the thing, this is one of the things that is really unique to me about what I do, is that I spent so many years struggling. And even after my early awakening, I had so many traumas to clear. And not from just only this lifetime, right? And so much energetic debris, right? Inertia in my field. I didn't understand this stuff. So I was in search of solution. Like I kept searching for solution, and realizing like, these are all the things people are struggling with. So as a result of doing all that inner work, one of my core strengths, I can find it so fast and get to root core issues so fast. And I can find it in so many different ways that I can help people get right to it. Because let me just tell you this, if you don't already get this, the root core of your issue is not in the physical world. People say it all the time. Oh, it's the food you ate. It's the air conditioner you slept in. It's the clothes you wore. It's the allergy. No. The root core is energetic consciousness. It's always in the non-physical. So this has become one of my strengths. I can just find that stuff really fast. So wherever someone is on their journey, I just can consult initially those 4 things really easily. But overall, because of the field that someone's got, their whole field, this is one of my most fun things, and I'll say this real fast. I was walking through the grocery store. I'm turning the corner, and out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody behind the counter handing... It was a skeleton, like a dead skeleton, over the counter, handing a bag to another, like, decaying, I don't know. it was a bag of pharmaceutical drugs, and I was like, I had to do a double take. What? Oh, that's not the physical. That's the non-physical, right? It's just death hanging out around where death is. And what I realized is I could see, not just that experience, but so many times I can just see what's in someone's field. These things are never the truth of who we are. They're just the energy in the field. So when we clear the energy that is not the truth of who we are, what's left is the truth of who we are. And the truth of who we are is consciousness, energetic vibration, consciousness that vibrates to a frequency way beyond love, way beyond human identification of what love is. So it's just a matter of clearing that stuff, right? But identifying where you are in the journey at first, it's easy to find. 4 easy places right away. Your Akashic records, your DNA, your 5 easy places, your numerology, your nameology, your astrology, it all holds the keys. I always look there first, and then your energy field for a qualified practitioner. You just see what's in your energy, what needs to be cleared. That's always available, right? So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Renee.
Well, we're not going back to the wind this time. Like Lori, I can really always see to the heart of the matter pretty quickly. And it's probably because I love this earth experience. So, a lot of people were talking about ascending and being in the 5th dimension and all of that. But the people who usually come to see me are having earth issues. And because I'm a magician with the earth, I don't know. I've dabbled in a lot of things, from the number of careers that I've had to other, and everyone seems to have had a lot of that going on too. But I tend to deal with more of the mundane. And that doesn't mean that I don't, channel the winds, but I find it in being so grounded on the earth that it's opened up other accesses for me. But it's always about creating energy from form, or creating form from energy. Sorry, reverse. It's getting late. This is past my bedtime, and that's the magic. That's the magic of the wind. The wind is the alchemist, and it always shows me where I do need to go. And I've had enough experiences in my life that I haven't ever had a client who came to me without something that I already knew.
Thank you. And Marie?
Well, I think we're in a very blessed time because we have so many teachers on this planet, and it's only increasing, right? As everybody awakens and goes on their journey of transformation. And why do we have so many amazing teachers on the planet? Because everybody's waking up, and they need so many teachers. And so if you think about 50 or 100 years ago, I mean, literally, if you have to have a teacher, you have to, take an airplane ticket to go to India, right? And then stay there for a couple of months in the ashram, because that was the only time you're going to be able to be connected with a teacher. And now we're everywhere. Right? We're on this little machine. We are on YouTube. We have a podcast. We have so many amazing tools. And I know the spirits from the other side have created all this for us so that we can help more and more people awaken, not just the people around us. And I'm sure some of our students are connected with several ones of us at the same point. But that's the greatness of it, because we need to see the angle. And I love the fact that we have this panel, and thank you for that, because we hear something and you're like, oh, this is something I like about what she says and I like what she's telling. And it gives you each time a different angle, and a different aha moment. And I'm sure I had aha moments today. I'm sure all of us had aha moments here in the panel and in the audience. But that's the greatness of this time. Yeah, that we have that opportunity, right? Because when I started, I mean, literally till I was 30, I couldn't talk to anybody about this information, right? And now, millions and millions and millions of people are ready for that information. So I just want to tell that we are so blessed at this moment, for that. And so how I work, well, I just connecting with people's soul, and I know that when people come to me, it's their soul has guided them, or the spirit has guided them, or perhaps somebody in their neighborhood in their life has guided them to my work, because every day I ask still, since I'm 15, I am here to enlighten more than 500 million people. Show me how. And I always ask that question, like, I don't know who is that going to be today. Perhaps it's one person, perhaps it is thousands of people that day. I don't know. But I am so in such a flow and trust and faith that the right people will come to me, and that I will know what to say and what to guide them towards the next level of their journey of ascension.
Thank you. And Wendy?
So you are always on your path. You're never not on it. And if you're in overwhelm, you're in your ego. You're not in your heart. So in terms of your path, if you're really, what you're asking is, what would be fun? What would bring me joy? And all of us know what that is inside. We just don't always take the time to ask that question. And my guides are really particular about that question, and they are very cautious in how they answer it, because if they say, oh, you're supposed to be doing this, or you're supposed to be doing that, that will serve you only so far. And sometimes it's just the next step. It's maybe the next step that helps you to grow, to gain the skill that you need to go do something else. So they talk often about focusing on the vibrational essence of what you want and not the form, especially now. It was fine 10 years ago. But where we're going, we're building new things that have never existed before. And if you're trying to go to that old box and the old visual, you're going to keep creating things that are very similar in frequency to the old, and that is not what you want. So all of us have an idea of the frequency that we want to experience. Maybe you want to have peace, joy, connection, love, harmony, whatever it is. Start by just picking one or two that you want to experience for the day. And if we start with too many, then we miss the subtle cues that we get back from the universe that help to guide us where we need to go. So maybe this week you want to work on peace and connection. So you imagine what that frequency feels like in your body. You can say, I am this thing, or I wonder what it would feel like to be this thing. And sometimes the latter is easier, because the ego mind doesn't get triggered and going, oh, I'm not that thing right now. So both those things will put you in resonance with that energy. And then as you go throughout your day, you can check in, am I still in resonance with that? And pay attention to where it is showing up, maybe in small ways. And that will help to guide you on your path. And if you're still a little confused about what frequencies you might want, think about your childhood. What games did you like to play, and why did you like to play those games? Oh, they allowed me to have connection, or oh, I really liked a challenge and a puzzle, and I like to problem solve. So you can go back and look at that, and that can help you in terms of your path, and also know that you know what your path is. No one else can really tell you what that is, and you have to use your own discernment in terms of what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you in terms of that path. So if you're looking for some guidance, take it with a grain of salt. If my guides work with you, then, does this resonate with me today? And if it's something that maybe today it doesn't resonate, but if it's information that you need, it's going to come back around in a different form, and you'll get there. You will get to your ultimate path. All of us, the guides say, you're here to be the highest light that you can possibly be, and to be as unconditional as you can possibly be, and to be in service. That's the path. That is the ultimate goal for all of us.
Thank you. And Janita?
Okay, what was the question? I gotta tell you, these ladies, this is for a linear. I've been going all over the place. A lot of stuff to think about, huh? Thank you for all the brain candy. So what was the question?
Well, let's wrap up all together. I think it would be beautiful because it's late night panel and we're ending soon. So give us one essential piece of advice for those on the path of ascension. And then I'd love to hear that just across the board from everyone.
Then I'm going to wrap it up how I started then. Our favorite thing to do these days is a new at my retreat is, it occurred to me recently, this is a tool, fun tool, about creationary energy. A lot of people look at what we call sexual energy, the root chakra, excitement, sexual energy. I think in the dumbing down of human beings, we associate that energy only to our physicality. And when we're talking about manifesting or healing or any of that, right, we have isolated that energy to our root chakra and only associating it with sex. What we're doing, and I find it's helpful in all aspects of healing, all of them, physical, emotional, mental, psycho-spiritual, and beyond, is releasing that and calling it creationary energy. And so through the sacred secretion practice, the regeneration practice, the sacred secretion practice, where you actually spend 4 days a month when the planets are lined up with your sun sign, the tropical and the lunar cycles, and your highest energy is accentuated by the planets. Not having sex, not releasing that energy and bringing it back up, through this is the practice of the Kundalini, right? And bringing it back up through the heart with love. This is not erotic, okay? This is through bringing that energy, excited energy from the root chakra, creationary energy, through the heart with love, and even Om, excite the pineal, and bring it into the mind with what you want to manifest, your higher self, a brighter light, anything, healing, anything, seeing yourself as a better person, and put that energy, it's kind of like a mindgasm, but put that, no, seriously, but no, I mean literally bring that energy up through your body and ejaculate in your mind, and with that thought, with that vision in your mind, your highest self, or even your better self tomorrow, or your better self today, and see that energy as your creationary energy. Unblock that energy, and you can create any. I mean, it happens a lot faster. Believe me, it happens a lot faster. So I'll end on that, and wish you all a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. And any other essential pieces of wisdom for the Ascension path? Just short and sweet.
Ground, heart center, and approach every moment with a sense of curiosity and adventure.
Thank you. Nice.
Well, I would suggest you think every morning, how can I love more? How can I love more myself? How can I love more the others? How can I love more the planet? How can I love more humanity? How can I love more of who I am?
Thank you.
It's very simple, creativity and joy. Create your joy list.
Nice.
If you're not meditating daily, now's the time to start. Either silent meditation or guided meditations.
Thank you.
I'd like you to close your eyes. And I want you to remember that you know this.
Beautiful. Wow. Beautiful.
I would say the fastest road to joy is through service and contribution. The fastest road to deep fulfillment is through really aligning with the love that you are, the consciousness that you are, and pursuing joy. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Your fastest road to wealth is through generosity. Your fastest road to union with your source is through service, contribution, love, and joy.
Thank you so much. And so I would just like to thank all of our incredible panelists here today for sharing your amazing wisdom, profound insights, and your practical tools and tips for us, all of us on our Ascension journey. As we've seen, our path to Ascension is so personal, and there are so many tools available for us and teachers to help us navigate this journey. And so encourage all of you all in the audience to explore what resonates most with you and trust your intuition in choosing the tools that align with your soul's journey. Thank you to all of our panelists here for your profound wisdom.
And thank you, Tanjila.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here late night for a late night panel and engaging in this transformative conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.